Welcome to EPODEX. In this video, we will show you how to achieve a metallic designer floor with an epoxy flooring kit from EPODEX. To prepare the floor, you will need our EPODEX primer, stirrer and cordless screwdriver, paint roller, nitrile gloves, and masking tape. The substrate must be firm, stable, dry, and clean. Make sure that the floor is free of release agents and other substances that interfere with the bond, such as grease, wax, silicone, concrete paste, and cleaning agents. If the floor presents any residues, we recommend sanding them off. Tape the edges with masking tape to ensure a clean finish. Level out unevenness and slopes with leveling compound. Especially when the leveling compound is laid on thickly, we recommend using edging strips to avoid tension in the floor. For tile floors, we recommend removing the tiles or covering them with leveling compound to even out the tile's grout. To do so, mix the leveling compound with water and then pour it onto the floor. Spread the leveling compound onto the floor. Repeat the process until the floor is leveled, and allow the leveling compound to dry. Prime the floor with our primer. Depending on the selected flooring kit, the primer might need to be dyed with our WB pigment before use. Shake the WB pigment well before use. Mix the primer well and pour the mixture into a paint tray. Paint it on with a paint roller. Repeat the process until you reach sufficient coverage. Let the primer dry. Continue with the main coating. For the main coating, you'll need our epoxy resin, mixing bucket, scale, stirrer and cordless screwdriver, paint roller, nitrile gloves, colorants and pigments to dye the epoxy resin, and at best, rubberized floor squeegee. We also recommend using rubberized cleated shoes or dull spiked soles to walk over the epoxy. The use of pointed spiked shoes is not recommended as they may damage the primer and cause blistering. Our epoxy resin kits consist of resin, hardener, and the desired pigments. Weigh resin and hardener in the specified mixing ratio and mix both components. Add colorants and pigments in the appropriate quantity to the mixing bucket to dye the resin and hardener. Run the stirrer through the rim and bottom of the mixing bucket, as resin or hardener will settle there. Ideally, transfer the mixture to a clean mixing bucket and mix again. This will ensure that the resin and hardener are completely mixed. Pour the epoxy onto the surface to be coated immediately after mixing, as the material may boil in the mixing bucket. Do not scrape material from the edge, as unmixed material will not cure. Spread the material with a squeegee. For multicolored coatings, we recommend dividing the color pigments proportionally to the amount of resin and mixing them with clear resin beforehand. Then mix the colored resin with the proportionate amount of hardener. Pour the highlights on the main color and work them in wet on wet. Pour in circles, lanes, or draw marbles. Work the highlights into the main coat. The more intensively you work the colors in, the more the colors will blend. Detailed information can be found on each product page. Under the Accessories tab, you will find all the necessary tools for processing our epoxy resins. Enjoy processing our products. Your EPODEX team.